All right, let's get right into it. The latest budget has dropped, and if you're a professional, maybe running your own company or managing a portfolio, you're probably just wondering, what does this actually mean for my wallet? Well, we're going to cut through all the noise and give you the straight scoop on what you need to know and, more importantly, what you need to do about it.
And yeah, that pretty much sums it up, right? You're not looking for the political spin, you just want to know how it's going to affect your income, your investments, and your plans for the future. And that is exactly what we're going to break down.
So my promise to you in this explainer is super simple. This is the plain English version, no spin, no jargon. We're going to focus on the stuff that really matters to you. Your take-home pay, your properties, your pension, and yeah, even your company car.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at the changes that are frankly going to cost you money. Then we'll talk about the single biggest planning opportunity that's still on the table. And we'll wrap up with a clear, pre-deadline checklist you can take away. Let's do it.
Okay, let's not sugarcoat it. We're starting with the tough stuff. There are 3 tax increases that are going to be a direct financial hit for a lot of professionals out there. It's really important we get our heads around these before we start looking at the solutions.
So the first hit is on dividends. And this is a huge one if you run a limited company. Starting in April 2026, the tax rate on your dividends is jumping up by 2 percentage points. It doesn't matter if you're a basic or higher rate taxpayer. Bottom line, taking profits out of your own company is about to get more expensive.
And let's put a real number on that so you can see the impact. If you're a higher rate taxpayer and you take, say, £60,000 in dividends, this one change means about £1,100 less in your pocket every single year for doing the exact same thing. That's a hit that you're definitely going to feel.
Next up, property. If you've got buy-to-lets as part of your long-term plan, you need to listen up. From April 2027, your rental income is going to be taxed at brand new, higher rates, totally separate from your other earnings. We're talking a 2 to 3% hike just for your property income.
So what does that actually look like? Well, imagine you have a property that's making you £15,000 in net profit. As a higher rate taxpayer, you're now going to be paying an extra £450 in tax on that one property every year starting in 2027. And that can seriously start to eat into your yields.
And hit number 3 is on your cash, your savings. Also starting in April 2027, the tax on savings interest is going up, pretty much mirroring those property tax hikes. So if you like to keep a nice cash buffer in the bank for your business, well, the tax man is getting ready to take a bigger slice of that interest.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. After all that doom and gloom, is there any good news? It really feels like a squeeze from all sides. But you know what? It's not all bad, because the budget left one of the most powerful financial planning tools completely untouched.
And this is where we pivot. We're moving from the problems to the solutions, because there is a massive opportunity for some smart strategic planning here, and it all revolves around your pension. Let me show you what I mean. The key number I want you to burn into your brain is £60,000. That is your annual pension allowance, and it is staying put. This is huge. It means you can still shelter a massive chunk of your income from all these higher taxes. And if you're a couple, that's potentially $120,000 a year going into a super tax-efficient environment to grow. This is your number one shield.
Now, let's just quickly look at salary sacrifice. You might have heard a cap on national insurance relief is coming in 2029. And it is. But here's the absolutely crucial part. You will still get full income tax relief on your entire contribution. For most of us, that makes it an incredibly efficient way to keep funding your pension. All right, let's quickly cover a few other important bits and pieces from the budget. What you're driving for work, how you're going to manage your admin, and what the official economic forecast is telling us.
So, for anyone who's clocking up some serious miles, you'll want to know this. There's a new road tax for electric vehicles. They're calling it EVD, and that's kicking in from April 2028. But there's a little bit of good news. The threshold for that expensive car tax is going up to $50,000 for EVs. So you've got a window of a few years to plan your next company car.
This is a big heads up for anyone still using spreadsheets to run their business. From April 2027, you're going to have to report all your expenses and benefits in real time through payroll software. It's becoming mandatory. So if you're not already using something like Xero or QuickBooks, 2026 is definitely the year to make that switch. So what does the official forecast say about the future? Well, the Office for Budget Responsibility is expecting some modest but steady house price growth and more property transactions right through to 2029.
So what does that mean for you? It means demand for professional services is likely going to stay pretty solid.
Okay, so we've covered the hits, we've covered the opportunities. Now for the most important part, what should you actually do? Let's break it down into a simple checklist based on your situation.
If you're running a limited company, your to-do list is crystal clear. First, talk to your accountant about possibly taking an extra dividend before that 2026 tax hike kicks in. Second, it's time to review your whole salary versus dividend mix. And third, a serious warning, get your tax returns perfect because the penalties for messing them up are set to double.
For all you property investors out there, it is time to get the calculator out. You absolutely have to recalculate your net yield using these new, higher tax rates to see if your investments still stack up. And it's also a really good time to explore strategic options, like maybe transferring assets to a spouse if they're in a lower tax bracket.
And finally, for pretty much everyone, 2 key actions really stand out. First, make the most of that £60,000 pension allowance while it's still simple and straightforward. And second, if a new vehicle is on the cards, seriously think about going fully electric before April 2027. You can lock in those 100% capital allowances and put off paying that new EV road tax.
And look, this timeline really lays it all out. These changes aren't happening tomorrow, but they're coming. 2026 and 2027 are the really big years when these tax hikes hit. Your window to plan to get ahead of this is right now.
So what's the real bottom line in all this? Look, this budget definitely added some new costs, for sure, but it hasn't slammed the door on smart planning. The most crucial takeaway is that the time to act, to review your strategy, to protect your financial position is now. Think of the next year, year and a half as your critical window to get ahead of these changes and really safeguard your income and your wealth for the future.